Adultification is making someone who isn't an adult become an adult. Sometimes in our childhood, we stop being a child. So today we're going to talk about adultification. What is adultification? First, we have to understand in the way I'm talking to you what consciousness is. Consciousness is something very important for you to know. By knowing what consciousness is, you can not just program yourself, but configure yourself or think about things. Consciousness is a movement that perceives itself to be. Look, consciousness is a reference within the mind. So what is a mind? Interoception, proprioception, which are body movements. Within a space, interoception is your feelings and proprioception is your reference in space, how you can move and how you can project yourself in that space. In that dive in the pool, in that chant, in that thing you're going to do, in that bike ride, proprioception, interoception, what you'll feel in your gut, how much you'll tense your head. So we have the mind, and consciousness is a reference within the mind. This mind is this entire metabolism that allows this interoception and proprioception processing to occur. In this processing, in this mind, in this hyperspace, you reference yourself. Look, I'm an engineer. Look, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a student, I'm a teacher, I'm a father, I'm a mother. Look, I'm a child. You reference yourself in your perception of the world. And this referencing is in this movement that you perceive yourself to be in this doing, in this self-perception consciousness. I'll repeat this many times until suddenly you get the idea. But consciousness is this, it's a referencing within the mind. It's a referencing, for example, if you're in a place and look to the left and someone is next to you and also looks to the left, if that person is in front of you, the left for them is different from what she sees looking to the left is different from what you see looking to the left. This happens with consciousness. If you reference a brain formation or a belief you have, or an idea or something you're referencing, your perception of reality is different from the other person's. For perception to be equal, both must have a similar reference. It will never be the same, but similar. Okay, let's go. Adoption. The baby was born. The baby was born, and how interesting, he already has a consciousness anchored in the warmth, rhythm, smell, and heartbeat of the mother and the child itself, the baby. We have a consciousness. Baby, consciousness. What's the reference? Heartbeat in the mother's heart when she's breastfeeding, or the mother's smell or hunger itself. He will reference something and have consciousness. He doesn't have words. Of course, he doesn't have baby words, but he has consciousness because without consciousness, there will be no learning. So he references the perception that exists within the baby. One year, 2 years, then in childhood. In childhood, you have a language. Daddy, mommy, ball, danger, water. Each word is already an invitation, already a reference for a shared perception. For a collective perception, be careful. Dad, mom, it's a collective perception. It's already a learning process. For example, look, fire burns, it hurts. And then this child, this one in childhood can, even without putting their hand in the fire, can learn about fire, even without committing an atrocity, killing an animal, for example, a little one, something like that, a pet of their own. They can learn that this can be harmful with words. Look, at birth, I was in consciousness, heat, rhythm, heart. In childhood, I already enter into language. Language is an abstractive power of things. And with language I can learn. But I haven't stopped referencing myself in the warmth, in the rhythm, in my heart, in the hearts of those close to me. I'm adding value. With words now, which is a technology. Words are technology, and in adolescence, consciousness can already use and does use theology. It begins to anchor itself in narratives. In adolescence, pre-adolescence, and adolescence, you'll already have things referenced in what is group-based, what the group accepts, what the group perceives, moves, and moves me to. It's the group. Adolescence is the group. Now, in our digital age, my consciousness is disputed by algorithms. It's the algorithm that sends me videos on my cell phone, and they fabricate artificial events from natural things. False ones too, but so you can feel like you're in a space in another reality, then you'll have awareness and reference in a reality that isn't ours. The whoring. But I talked about birth, childhood, adolescence, and algorithms now. And how will this happen in a child's life? Just look. The baby is growing. Look, I'm going to make cutouts for you. Every cutout has losses. The baby is growing, his brain is growing, what they call button up. What is button up? Babies and children will evolve. Adolescents also evolve from the inside out. From the inside out. From emotions, feelings, fantasies, desires, compulsiveness. They're at this level. From the inside out. From the deepest part of the brain to the subconscious cortex. It's not from the cortex in, it's from the inside out. This is zone two. Children are in zone two. It's about playing, about being able to make mistakes without feeling guilty about them, because it's through mistakes that we learn. So it's zone two. Zone two is about play, playfulness, fantasy, and it's for children and some adolescents too. When does a process begin where metacognition can occur, where math, maturity, and auditorization can occur, leading to normal adulthood? It occurs between 25 and 35. That's why I tell you that adulthood would be after 30, because the brain isn't ready before 30. The brain is ready between 25 and 35 years old. What does being ready mean? It's the cortex growing neurons and connecting things inward. Jackson, this language is so complicated. Cortex, neuron, and inward. It's simple. Look, when you're little, you get emotional about this and what you do without realizing the consequences of what you do. There is no connection from, if you do this, that might happen. When the brain matures between 25 and 35, you start to think, if I do this, that might happen. So before you do something, you already have a system that can correct it and modulate it more safely. It's the inhibitory system, the most performant, because it moves from the cortex into the brain. This is the maturation that occurs in the brain between the ages of 25 and 35. If you take a child age 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, or 14 already doing business, presenting programs in theater, and having an active life in the business, we are adultifying the child. This child is losing their childlike side, losing their childlike development. But what kind of childlike development is this, Yakos? All the emotions from the inside out. To evolve from the inside out, from the center of the brain outward. If they lose this, everything becomes more complicated because they're now starting to develop from the outside in, from responsibility to feeling, and not from feelings and emotions to responsibility. And this changes a lot in the child. Why does it change so much in children? An adult too after they've passed this stage, because look, we have three zones. I'll explain it this way. That's my idea. These three zones you live in: zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3. It's simple. Zone 1 is when you impose visceral and postural tensions on yourself. As I said in the example, I always say, to climb a tree, to run, to take a class. These impositions you have within yourself, you simply relax after you've done it. Go high, go up, open up, go down, relax. Zone 1. So in Zone 1, you activate mTOR and deactivate mTOR naturally. A double game. Activate, deactivate, activate, deactivate, but you have control over visceral tensions and postural and movement tensions. So it's not just positive tension. Perfect. Zone 2. Zone 2 is no longer there. In Zone 2, you're relaxed and not imposing postural or visceral tensions on yourself. And if you're in Zone 1, for example, you're going to do a very intense activity like reading with a lot of concentration and focused attention. When you have a strong focus on reading, your oximetry starts to drop between 94, 92, 94, and you enter Zone 2, where the hematocrit is deactivated, where the issues are only functional, where your body and brain functions are being checked and improved. REM sleep is like that. Dreams have this function checking factor, especially REM sleep. The REM phase involves the emotional part. Your deepest feelings. The rheantonic is the part that perhaps captures some emotion, but more so your adaptation to the space. If you were walking, if you walked, if you can improve your pace, even dreaming, you'll adjust. Notice we're talking about Zone 2 and Zone 3. Zone 3 begins when you accept an ideology and apply attention to your viscera and your body with the attention someone told you to apply. Sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's guilt. Religious movements love this guilt, fear, desire, and you come here to your belonging and now impose on the religious the will to carry out punitive justice. Let's punish the wicked, because the wicked are those who don't believe what I believe. This neurosis in these people forces them into Zone 3. Why Zone 3? Because it imposes strong bodily, visceral, and postural tensions. Which wasn't imposed by her. It was religious, political, social, or cultural ideology that imposed it on her. So she always lives with her body tense. She always lives with something missing. She always lives with her body silenced. There are pains she doesn't feel because the biology she adopted puts an overstrain on the body beyond the visceral pain itself. A very serious problem. And it causes epigenetic problems. And it causes problems with differential pH in the stomach, in other places. It disrupts the body's homeostasis. By disrupting the body's homeostasis, the cells that are going to differentiate with small errors. It's much easier to differentiate with small errors because the pH in that region is off. Why is the pH in that region of the stomach, the back, the kidneys off? Because you've imposed visceral tension, the result of the ideology you follow, the beliefs you have, the faith you have, and you never relax. If you relax, the body heals. If you don't relax, the miracle won't happen. The miracle is the body's own healing. But no, I go there with that strength. I have to believe. I have to do it within that ideology. Sometimes there are some miracles, seemingly miracles, that occur in some religions. But the fervent one went so far to the point where he surrendered. He let go, he let go. By letting go of visceral and bodily tensions, they relaxed and the body healed. Because the problem with the pathology this person had was supernatural visceral tensions imposed by the previous ideology. And what is the adultification of children? We are placing a visceral posture, a visceral and postural tension in children beyond their capacity to bear. Then they pretend to be. Whether they're to make a little money, to make an extra video, they make body movements, sometimes very sexualized at an age like 10, 9, they can't. In June in 2015, I attended a dance festival, and part of the festival had children aged 12 to 15, more or less a few groups, and they did some contemporary dance movements, which I really like. Contemporary dance, but already pulling contemporary dance, pulling deep depression and war. From 12 to 15 years old doing contemporary dance movements, deep depression? No, this is adultification. This is a mistake. I know the choreographer wanted to put it on for the child. Don't do it with a child. They can't do it. This deep depression, this more intense thing, which cognition has to investigate and examine with metacognition, is for those over 25. It's for 25 to 35, at least over 30. I can't do a part, a play, something intense with a 12 to 15-year-old child with something with extremely depressive, extremely profound movements. They don't have the brain to understand that. That's adultification. And on the internet, even less so. On the internet, you see 8-year-old speakers talking about business. This is a curse. This creates visceral tensions, postural tensions, and this child no longer develops the mutam app, the brain from the inside out, exploring emotions and feelings, that fantasy, that joy, those emotional outbursts that develop the brain from the inside out, the center of the brain to the cerebral cortex. I want to impose a top-down approach, yes, but there's no brain structure. There was no top-down growth. There wasn't. This growth occurs between 25 and 35 years of age. This is anatomical. It's normal growth. The child lacks the brain power to do what they're doing. So what do they put in? Visceral tensions, postural tensions. Visceral tensions will even lead to epigenetic imbalance. You'll develop all sorts of anomalies because that pressure doesn't make sense for that child at that age. It should have been after 30. They should have been an adult for that kind of activity. So, adultification is a very serious problem that we need to understand better. Let the child be a child and let the teenager be a teenager. Of course, it places one responsibility here, another there. But a lot an adult responsibility for someone who is a teenager or for someone who is a child? No, because it will affect the child's brain development. Folks, that's the idea I wanted to leave you with. And look how important it is. Consciousness being a reference in this world of perception of the individual mind. And since everyone's reference is different, the reference is different for teenagers. In childhood, it's different. When you were a baby, you had a reference, which was your hunger, your pain, your colic, your mother's heartbeat, you sucking in your mother's scent, your mother's heart, your mother's scent. That was your reference. When you go back to childhood, you're already words, you're superheroes, something. These words give you abstractions of your references for how to live. Yes, but the others were there too. The real world, yes, the words were there too. The words just give it more meaning. You go to adolescence, narratives. Narratives are important. Then you go to adulthood, the digital world enters, steals your attention, giving you what you want to hear, showing you what you of attention and put new references. And having a new reference and attention span, it changes. It makes you vote for this and against that. You become a puppet of the digital world's algorithm. So, are you seeing this? And then you'll have a moment in your life where you control your belonging. You control your belonging through intentional focus. Sometimes I'm online and an interesting video comes on. I just quickly skip the video and say, this isn't the time to pay attention to this type of video. My attention is focused on this activity and I can't shift my attention there because an algorithm has already followed me, already showing what I like to see. I like to see these things, but not now. I like it, but I don't want it. Seriously, I have these two parts which are different in your head. There's a side you like and there's a side you want. So you have to control this. I like this video, but I don't want it right now. And don't add even one more second to that video. Because if you add one more second, what will happen? The algorithm understands that you liked it and will bombard you with videos you like. And it will hijack your attraction time. This is the algorithm's ultimate goal, to hijack your time of attraction. There's only one now. You live only in the now. You remember what happened in your past. You remember what might happen in your future. These are your plans. Memory of the past is precisely the part of you that keeps you looking at your justice system, how you acted, whether you did right or wrong, and if you remember the future, it's how you want to plan for the future. It's the legislative system, how you will regulate your future. And what does the internet algorithm do? It quickly captures your attention. It doesn't even let you think. In your memories of the past or future, and not even in your present, you get emotional over trivial things you like and believe in, but the algorithm has already figured it out and kidnapped you. So look, the adultification of children is very serious, and it's very important to know that children under 16 shouldn't even have free access to the internet. They shouldn't, because this will adultify them. It will place emotions and references outside their reality. It will deprive them of real physical belonging with each other. It ceases to exist, and a virtual sense of belonging emerges, where I accept this narrative and we oppose the other's narrative. This is false. This isn't a beating heart. This isn't a smell. This isn't a color. This isn't life. This isn't human. These are algorithms joining groups in a virtual way to pit one group against the other and attract more attention, and life fades away, and life ends. And you end up dedicating your attention to this world of algorithms, or are children being deprived of attention? At the time when she was in the brain growth stage of the mutam api, that is, of the deep emotions and feelings come out, you go and put on a video they really like in a different way, another video, and they, through sight and sound, will experience feelings that would otherwise only be possible through social interaction, which is important. That's how the child will develop, through social interactions. It's not by giving the child money. You have to earn money now. Look at the money, accumulation and profit, accumulation and profit. Accumulation and profit destroyed humanity. It destroyed the planet. We're already facing a climate emergency because of accumulation and profit. This is a major criticism I have of left-wing parties. Left-wing parties always say, look, let's increase consumption, increase consumption, increase consumption, increase consumption, increase profit and accumulation. And the planet burns. We have to find a way to do things, to expand businesses with services, less with the consumption of products and more with the services of things. Add value in services, not in consumption. Consume, 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 and the planet heats up, and the planet gets polluted. So this difference is very important. We have to end this paradigm of profit and accumulation that the internet wants to use your attention span and the attention span of our creatures. Our children's attention spans are shortened and they are given exactly what they want to hear. And there's no such thing as proper brain training. Brain training will make them good reference points. The reference point is consciousness. Remember what I told you? Consciousness is placing yourself within a reference point you have. The reference point is consciousness. Brain training will give you consciousness. College, graduate school, studies your books will give you brain training, will give you better consciousness. But no, algorithm, algorithm, algorithm. Our sons, our daughters, our teenagers, our children, our babies, with a screen in front of them, creating a brain disruption, a path, shortcuts to a different way for this child. Instead of seeking this learning, these desires, it's already there on the screen and it's destroying this child's structure. Or some children are even being adultified to show sexuality, body movements, or ways of doing business at 8, 9, 10 years old. We are destroying our future, and this is very important to know. An economist once said something interesting. Look, we have so much to discover in science, to learn about health, fruits, food, buildings, so much. But our geniuses are being stolen by the financial market, forcing them to seek profit and accumulation. Profit and accumulation and profit and accumulation. And the planet is burning. We need to learn more, understand more. Interact between humans and each one in their reference, concrete references. Real references, not virtual references coming from social media algorithms that only want to seek your attention. Concrete references, and in these references one sees it one way, another sees it another way. The middle may be a truth, but it is neither here nor here, it is neither with me nor with you. But if we have good references, we will adjust and we will enter a diplomatic process of seeking this truth that is among us with real references. And it doesn't come from social media algorithms with the little videos they show and the lies they spread. And it also doesn't come from the adultification of our children. And then what will you graduate from? On social media, will you become influential YouTubers? By saying things that the algorithm puts in front of you, leverages them, and then makes money. And then profit and accumulation. Look how interesting this is. Clearly, we are in an irresponsible state where Planet One or the super rich or the 1% of the richest people on the entire planet have already hijacked the states and make the state work for them. So there are billions in tax exemptions. There are billions or trillions even here and there in state perks. And these guys who hijack the state say the following: no, the state only wants taxes. We don't want to pay taxes, but it leaves the population with taxes and a lot of burden. When it happens, and PX has already happened, Drex will happen, and Drex citizen may happen, we will put this money in the hands of the citizen. And these super rich will have to seek out citizens' money. They won't create more rules in banks and float this money illegally or even illegally, because the super rich are rich enough to first change laws in Congress and then commit crimes. But then it's no longer a crime. If the law is changed, it's valid. The power of the planet is 0.1%, and the 0.1%, comma, who are the richest in the world, can change laws and regulations. So their crimes are legal, their crimes are legal. So there are some business people, some super rich, who will never be arrested simply because before committing the crime, he makes the law and allows that crime to be legal. Then you go there and look at the law, there's no way to arrest him. Why can't he be arrested? Because he changed the law beforehand with his representatives and senators. He's very rich, right? Guys, this is what I wanted to leave with you and pay close attention to. Don't let our children talk about adult things or act like adults. Brain thought, its development comes from the butam api, from the center of the brain, from the middle of the brain, from their feelings and emotions outward, to rationalize. Then, from 25 to 35 years old, they will be able to rationalize to have feelings and emotions. A reasoning may have several feelings and emotions, but in the beginning it is feelings and emotions and then reasoning, words and narratives.